Welcome to Often Pacing on Tab Radio Racing and Sport. Tim Walker will be joined by Matt Young and Oliver County as they delve into the form for today's Pinjarra harness meeting, as well as an early look at tomorrow's meeting at Gloucester Park. We are Often Pacing.
Great to have your company on this Monday morning for another edition of Often Pacing off the back of a tremendous weekend of harness racing that started right here at Gloucester Park on Friday night and rolled into Bunbury on Saturday night with a really good night of pacing action there as well, with the De Campo Memorials as the highlights, and also a heat of the Higgins Memorial, which we will look forward to following the progress of that over the next little while. We've got a very busy show on the way today. Shannon Suvaljko to join us after what I thought was probably the win of the night for a good chunk of Friday night. That was Penny Black, and then, of course, Never Ending came along in the free-for-all, and we saw a tremendous performance by him. So had to probably play second fiddle on the night. In the end of it all did Penny Black, but we'll be able to chat to him about that, and we will also chat to him about Waterloo being back at Pinjarra today ahead of the feature event down there. So that is coming up very shortly, but in the meantime, we'll have a look back at what we learned from Gloucester Park Friday night and also over the course of the weekend, if there was something to follow from the eyes of Ollie County, and also Richie Bell, who is filling in for the shoes of Matt Young once again today. But Ollie, good morning to you once again.
Good morning, Tim, and good morning, Richie.
Rich, a very good morning to you.
Hey. Yeah, good morning, Timmy. Good morning, Ollie.
Great to have you on board again today, Rich. Well, why don't we start with Friday night, if we can, Rich? We'll go to you firstly. Just mentioned that Penny Black was terrific to start the night off, and then she had top billing for a good chunk of it, but then we saw what Never Ending was able to do. Why don't we start there, the Winter Cup, and a terrific performance by Never Ending as he put his foot down and said, I'm going to be a big part of the Eureka this year.
Yeah, so much more to come. It was a fantastic performance. We knew before the race that Justin was going to drive very quietly and come with one rush and hope there was enough heat in the race. There wasn't an amazing amount of pressure, but they sort of moved along at a reasonable speed, and it enabled Never Ending to finish over the top of them despite doing a bit of a dipsy-doodle coming around the home turn. So, once this horse really gets its rhythm going and starts handling the bends better with a bit of maturity, who knows where it'll end up.
Exactly right, Ollie. What was your take on how things unfolded there on Friday night?
As you said, it wasn't the most genuinely run race in the early stages. Jumping Jack Mack, he slid straight to the top, and from there I thought it'd be awfully hard to beat the class of horse he is, but he's had a long prep now, so maybe he's just coming towards the end of that. And turning for home, he was nowhere really, Never Ending, and you sort of didn't think he'd be able to make up the ground. And they've come home 27.8, 28.8, which is pretty slick times for the end of a 2,500 metre race, and he was just cruising right down the home straight and hit the line powerfully, which was just amazing, really, to see a horse do that. And he looks right on track for the Eureka later in the year. Yeah,
it's so very exciting. And for Justin Prentice as well, on his birthday, able to take out the feature event and had his family on course. So I'm sure he would have been absolutely wrapped with what he got out of Never Ending on Friday night. Just very quickly, Ollie, and then I'll get Rich's thoughts after as well on the Beaten Brigade. I thought it was a tremendous return by Tenzing Bromack, and the Mickey Taker continues on keeping on.
It was super, wasn't it, Tenzing Bromack? Doing the work like that first up from a spell was extremely impressive. And if Never Ending wasn't in the race, would have won a free-for-all of that nature, a 50k race first up from a spell parked out, which is nothing to be sort of downplayed. It was a huge effort, and the Mickey Taker just keeps stepping up and stepped up again there. Showed no gate speed at all in the early stages and was shuffled right back. So did really well to get into it late and steal the show. Another one that was really good, zipped off the gate, found leaders back. It was a terrific drive and probably deserved a little bit more than fourth there for Dylan.
All right. And Rich, just your take on the Beaten Brigade out of the Winter Cup?
Yeah, a couple of horses I will be following out of the race. One is Soho Dow Jones. Now, Kim Prentice before the race said this horse was absolutely flying behind the scenes, and he knew the barrier draw would defraud its chances of getting in the money, but it was a good run. It was a long way back. It found the right line very strongly, and it was blocked in the final 100. We go back to February and March. This horse was winning and running placings in free-for-alls. They weren't the strongest free-for-alls going around at the time. I think Galactic Star was about the place with Hampton Banner at that stage and horses like Cordero. But he did win a free-for-all when he was able to lead from gate 2, and he held out Hampton Banner on that occasion. So if he draws to lead one of these free-for-alls and he can get his own way out in front, I think he'd be pretty hard to beat. The other horse out of the race was Armour Einstein, who was terribly blocked for a run in the final 200 metres. And had he got out earlier, he actually would have made it pretty interesting, and he was 100 to 1.
Just on Jumping Jack Mac, I know that was obviously the disappointment. Speaking to Stewie McDonald in the parade ring afterwards, just wasn't at his best, and that was obvious on the night. So we'll wait and see what happens there. Obviously, the eyes for him are very much focused on the WA Pacing Cup a little later on this year. All right, Rich, we'll get you to keep rolling if we can, and a couple of other horses to follow out of Friday night's meeting in your eyes.
Yeah, 2 horses I'm going to be looking at. One is Sovrana, who ran behind Penny Black in the mares race. She made up a lot of ground deep out on the track in the blue colours and charged late into 4th place. The run prior, she got used up a little bit too much early and dropped out. But the run prior to that had a soft trip and finished really fast through the middle behind a Chani Girl. So the key to take from that is that when she's held up for one crack at them, she can be mighty hard to hold out, and I think she'll win one of these mares races soon. The other horse I was pretty excited about its return was Franco Encore, who had that win over Wave Rider when it led all the way, but it has also shown the capacity to come from behind. One night at GP on a Tuesday, charged home from the back behind Arian Rock, and again on Friday night, sat 1-1 and was able to make really good inroads the final 100 metres behind Vegas Strip and Bet the House, 2 very, very nice 3-year-olds. So Franco Encore, when it draws to lead, even against these really good horses, it can be extremely competitive.
All right. And what about you, Ollie?
The first one I came up with was in race 1, Blaze Coops, a horse that probably would have caused a few headaches early on in WA, kept over racing, then every other start would break at the start and make errors, burned off the gate on Friday, and they went a 35.3 lead time, which is flying, and she chose to hand over to Captain Bligh, and she was still able to run a really nice second in the end in quick overall time. The problems at times, as I said, has been firing up badly, but she looked to settle quite well on Friday there. She was an emergency for a couple of races on the card today at Pinjarra, but scratched, so we'll have to watch for her wherever she goes around next.
All right. Have you got another one to follow?
Race 6, Luca Pello. I thought he backed up a really impressive win at Narrogin off a 30-metre handicap there. He made a 30-metre handicap for himself on Friday by galloping away from the tapes, and he was shuffled back a long way, and he worked around mid-race, so he did a little bit of work there and landed on the back of the eventual winner, Otis. And at one stage, he was headed in the home straight by Feeling Aces, but he battled back strongly there and finished a clear second. So I thought that was a really impressive effort. And then in race 7, Swagger Man, I thought he was a great run. He settled 1 out, 2 back in a race. They probably just found their order a bit too quickly in the end, and El Waddell got away with plenty on the front end, and he raced away. But Swagger Man chased hard right down the straight, and he was a gallant second, I thought.
Yeah, he certainly did a good job there. All right, so the horses to follow out of Friday night at Gloucester Park, Sovrana and Franco Encore for Rich, for Ollie, Blaze Coops, Luca Pello and Swagger Man. Rich, just before we let you go this morning, is there anything that you're keeping a close eye on over the next couple of days in terms of a winner for our listeners?
Yeah, well, at Pinjarra today, I went to the final race, and our Lily Lou, I think, collectively dropped in class a little bit on its last few runs. They've been behind Penny Black, Champagne Everyone, Dame Belle, and also Penny Black its last 3 runs. And I don't think there's a horse of this that quality in this mares race today in the last at Pinjarra. So hoping she can work off the inside, our Lily Lou, and really put herself into the race. I think she's got a strong chance on a 40-win, 60-place basis. So that's race 10, number 8, Pinjarra today. And tomorrow at Gloucester Park, 3 races in a row I don't mind. Race 4, I thought G. Smith would be really hard to beat. Got the draw now, gate number 2 that it's been looking for. It's been racing consistently. In race 5, keep following Tubbs Farquhar. Its last 2 runs have been good. Lost sight of the bunny a couple of times and run home well. and it looks well placed over the 2,500. Never won over the trip, but it has been placed on 4 occasions. And also in race 6, Unlucky looks really hard to beat now. It's getting fitter. It's having its 5th run back from the spell. Its last 2 runs have been really good. It looks very well placed in a race that lacks a bit of depth. Race 6, number 11 at GP, Unlucky.
Fantastic, Rich. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We will catch up with you again throughout the course of the week here on Tab Radio.
Beautiful. Thanks, Timmy. Thanks, Ollie.
There is Richie Bell with us on the program this morning. All right, Ollie, let's dive into this Pinjarra card in a little bit more detail from your perspective today. We obviously heard your race-by-race preview a little earlier on the Sports Daily, but through a couple of your specials, the first of them today.
We kick things off in race 2, Save Me. As I said earlier, on debut, started from a pretty awkward draw there inside the back row. Was checked at one stage when the leader went a little bit roughly, and I thought did well to stay down there and kept racing. And in the end, captain said so. I think it was. They raced away, and Save Me, when finally got clear, chased hard, and you can just see him after the line really powering through. And he's obviously just needed the outing there on debut, still getting the idea of racing and things. And then last start, he was really good again. I thought Save Me. He was super unlucky, shuffled back. Nothing went right for him at any stage. And when he finally did get clear in the latter stage of the race, he powered home and hit the line really strongly. And he was finishing alongside some horses that have shown a bit of promise in their short careers so far. So I thought Save Me there in a race with a few unknowns could be a really good each-way chance.
All right, Save Me on the each-way. The next of them?
In race 4, going to go with a place angle here for Midwife Calling. Sat outside. She looks to get the right run on the back of the favourite in this race. Showed some gate speed last start, which she hasn't at some stages in her career. Used that gate speed last start and then got shuffled back, 1 out, 2 back, and still finished on really well, I thought, into third there. That bodes well for this race, and I think if she does get that great run on the leader's back, then she's likely to be able to fill a placing. And I think at the moment we're getting a bit better than $2, which looks fantastic value for that race. It could easily be pegs. And I've just noticed that the 8 in this race has come out. So that makes it even an easier task potentially for Midwife Calling to fill a placing in that race.
Yep, absolutely. So that is in race number 4, the next of them.
In race 8, best of the day, I thought, Relatively Armour. Really disappointing last start, I thought, led them up and looked to have kicked clear and won the race, but was just run down in the concluding stages. Before that, she'd been going really well. I thought she'd been finishing off super in her races recently, which is not something that she'd previously done. She'd previously been a horse that raced best on the pegs, which is a setup she gets here. So I really do think Relatively Armour can feel first, second or third behind the very smart Waterloo, who I just can't see anything beating it today.
Yep. All right, so that is Save Me. Now, the market has just gone up on race number 2 there. Save Me currently $5 with Tab Touch $2.10 to run into the money, and we're just awaiting on the remaining ones to go up, but they are starting to filter through. So Save Me in race 2, Midwife Calling the place in race 4, and Place Heavy, Relatively Armour at Pinjarra. Shall we turn our attention to Gloucester Park here tomorrow night for a bumper 10-race program and some headline acts are back tomorrow night, Ollie?
Looks some really good racing on Tuesday night. So the one I'm going to kick off with is race 4. G. Smith has been racing super recently, 3 runs ago. Finished off powerfully behind Dark Eyes. Just couldn't quite reel him in there. That was over the mile. Battled on well 2 back behind Star of Willoughby after leading up the 1 wide line, and then just got too far back behind El Waddell, who got things to suit out in front. Draws gate 2, Tri-Royal Brigade looked to hand over last start, so I think we'll probably take a sit on G. Smith, who's a bold front runner. So I'd expect him to be very hard to beat on the front end here, G. Smith, if that's where he can get to.
All right, G. Smith in race 4. What else have you got for us?
in race 10, I've got a little Quinella or exacta bet for us. Our Sandy Shore looks the leader and looks the winner off a decent trial. Super impressive horse, very classy. Has only won one race, has had a number of chances, but has raced in really strong company. So this looks a massive step back for our Sandy Shore. I think Teruvian Pinky can run another second, which would make it 6 second placings in a row, incredibly. But Teruvian Pinky's just been racing fantastic recently. Worked pretty hard through the middle stages. Last start, Candy Apple challenged strongly for the lead and eventually went on to win that race. But I thought Teruvian Pinky battled on really well for second there. So I expect you to be running second again here in race 10. All
right, so that is G. Smith tomorrow night in race 4. And then in race number 10, our Sandy Shore with Teruvian Pinky to run into the money there as well for Ollie County. All right, Ollie, that is a good look at Pinjarra today and Gloucester Park tomorrow. Of course, if we want to get a recap of some of your selections there, you'll be along on the Sports Daily tomorrow morning from 8:45 for a complete look at that 10-event program.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Tim.
There is Ollie County, one of our experts this morning, alongside Richie Bell, here wrapping up Friday night and looking ahead to the next 48 hours or so here in the West. One driver that was a popular selection among the best bets from Rich and Ollie there, Shannon Suvaljko. He's going to be with us on the other side of the break as we look ahead to Waterloo being back today at Pinjarra in the Dainty's Daughter Country Classic.
They are Often Pacing on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
Great to have your company on this Monday morning. We're approaching 5 minutes to 10 o'clock, and to round out Often Pacing today, we have got Shannon Suvaljko with us on the line to talk through his next couple of days, of course, drives, and a look back at Friday night as well. There's a bit to work through with him from there. Hello to you, Shannon.
Yeah, g'day, Tim. How you going?
Going very well, thank you. Thanks for joining us on the program this morning. All eyes very much on Waterloo today, of course, in the feature race down there at Pinjarra. Firstly, last week, what did you make of her trial?
Yeah, she trialled really well. I know she only had the one run on the track going into her trial, so she probably needed a good run. And, yeah, we just sat back early. There was a bit of speed on early, so we just sat back and, yeah, she winded up into the race and trial, and, yeah, she hit the line powerfully. So, yeah, she benefited from that run. She had another run on the track on Saturday, and she worked really good. So, yeah, she's ready to go.
What was your initial thoughts after the last start run a couple of weeks ago where we know it didn't work out for her? Was it one of concern at the time, or you were always confident it'd be something you'd be able to, yourself and Mike and the team would be able to get on top of pretty quickly?
Yeah, I actually felt straight away that she fibrillated. So I've driven lots of horses that do it, and especially in winter they do it because they don't drink enough water, so get enough electrolytes and all that through their body. So she just shed her ears back, and she just did pick the bit up for when she had to. So so I pulled her up immediately, so knowing that I thought that was a problem. So it's just you can do more damage by keep on going. So no, she pulled up, and the vet was really good to Mike, and said that he done a blood on it and said it could be a virus or electrolyte imbalance, and she didn't have a virus. So her electrolytes were really low. So he wounded that up, and she turned around within 48 hours. So he was able to keep her in work and go forward through that.
All right, and all roads to Pinjarra once again today, the Dainty's Daughter Country Classic. So drawn barrier number 4. Just talking to Ollie earlier on, you saw obviously last start Relatively Armour performed very well running into the minor end of the money. Do you feel like that that's the danger there today? Obviously, barring any bad luck, that she should be the one to beat Waterloo?
Yeah, she's been dominated this year. So, no, she's going better than ever, and Saturday's run and Wednesday's run proved that she's on track to, run a big race again. So, yeah, she should be hard to beat. Yeah, Brownie's horse on the back line, obviously the one to beat, and then there's a couple others in there that go pretty good too. So, it's never easy, but she's the best one in it, I think.
Yeah, she certainly is. And just in terms of the way that she's going, we've spoken to Mike and Jim previously here on Tab Radio, that she just seems to enjoy being in work, and she likes racing. She doesn't like spending too much time in the paddock. So does she give you, obviously last start aside, but you go and see what she did in the trial, and no doubt what she hopefully does today, that she just enjoys that. You get that feeling as well that she just enjoys being out there competing?
Yeah, apparently she walks a fence and she doesn't do well when she's not in work. And I've been to mixed place, and it's like a big holiday place anyway, so they love it. They just got roaming around the paddocks, and he's got great boxes and a nice sawdust tracks. They really enjoy it, I think. And there's all the horses got the ears pricked normally, and then happy to be there. So now. I thought she was a really nice horse early, but since I've been driving track work with Mike for the last 3 or 4 months now, and you can tell she's just a class above all the horses there. So she should be hard to beat again.
Fantastic. So that is Waterloo in the main event today. So your day gets underway. We'll just run through the balance of your drives. So Spoil the Party was placed last week, we know, behind Justin's short price favourite on that occasion. Can Spoil the Party get back in the winner's circle today in the first of the Lightning laps?
Yeah, he's racing well, and he's done nothing wrong, like in his couple starts, but he's going to continue to improve. He's got okay speed, and it's a winnable race, and he ran a super race last week, so he's a pretty strong horse, so he'll run the lap out really strongly. There's just an awkward draw, but he should be the one to beat. All
right, nice draw for Sunpatra, who we get to see first up today in the next of the Lightning laps, race number 5, drawn barrier number 1. Could you give some sort of a place push there?
Yeah, it's driven it before, and it gets off the arm okay, and Dave's horses usually race good over the lap, so it's a handy enough horse, so if it gets in the right spot or can lead him, it'll run a good race, so probably a place chance.
Yeah. And is it much the same for Island T-Rex, obviously drawn the inside of the back line in race number 6?
Yeah, good draw for that one. Probably a place chance. It just needs a bit of luck in that run.
All right, the scratching of Dorado makes the standing start event really interesting. You team up with Franco Mecca with a run under the belt now. Could you see him overcoming the 20 metres today?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I thought he really needed it first up, and Matt was really happy with his work, so he thought he'd run a good race, and he actually jumped really quick and got in the right spot, but they still did go good time against Rock Artist, and he beat Gerardo home last start and another good one. So from that draw, it's a winnable race. The distance will help him, I think 2,600. So I think he's a great each-way chance.
And can the same be said for Pecunious in race number 10, what looks to be a relatively open affair, the last?
Yeah, it's an open race, like you said. She's getting better. Like her manners are getting better, and she's racing really well. So if she got in the right spot, she could win it, but more probably a place chance. All
right, and just very quickly, we won't go through all of tomorrow night at Gloucester Park, but G. Smith was one that Rich and Ollie identified earlier on. Does G. Smith find the right race tomorrow night?
Yeah, he's going good. The right barrier for him and the right class, so he should be hard to beat. I thought Miss Sharjah would win too. I thought it was a nice 3-year-old filly back to older mares, but she's drawn one, and she needed those 2 runs, and the last run was super. So I think she can lead and win that.
All right, that is tomorrow night. And just quickly back to Friday night. So Penny Black has put 6 in a line now. Done a terrific job since coming across to the Michael Young stable, and clearly looks to have plenty of upside. What was your take on the way that she went about it on Friday night?
Yeah, she's a very good horse. I'd driven her once at Pinjarra, and she showed to me that her strength, she's got lots of strength and a lot of speed too. So, and she can maintain it for a long distance. So there was just a bad barrier over Gloucester Park, first time there, and the other horse had drawn better, like Little Darling and that. So, but she showed her class. She had to come around him in the I had to like really burn up to get around them, and because they seemed to go quick early, but the lead time wasn't there, so we had to put her in the race, and then once she got outside them, I knew that she'd keep on rolling the last lap and a half really strong. So she'd done a great job. Yeah,
it was one of the highlights of the night. Well, good luck today. Let's hope that we see the very best of Waterloo down there in the Dainty's Daughter Country Classic. Thanks for your time this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
There is Shannon Suvaljko with us on the program this morning. Off and pacing. That's it for another week. Thank you for listening in. Enjoy everything that unfolds in harness racing over the next week. Of course, stay tuned to the Racing WA Harness X page today. Full interviews in the build-up to each and every race. All of the key players will be spoken to. And again, we're here tomorrow night at Gloucester Park and, of course, on Friday night. So plenty of harness racing action on the way. I'm going to leave you in the very capable hands of Alan Knight for the start of race day here on this Monday morning. Thank you very much for listening to another edition of Off and Pacing.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelpline.org.au.